What's up, guys? We're back for episode 11 of the YouTube series, and today we've just got some arms, abs, and calves, so a nice simple workout. Gonna throw some motivation at you today and just talk gym, bodybuilding, all that fun stuff. So we're kicking things off today. We got some dips. So I'm gonna be in a little bit more of an upright position here for the triceps. Dip belt. Ah, beautiful. Ah, it's the new one we just ordered in. Oh, Rep Fitness coming in clutch. So we're gonna take a look at it. All right, let's go. We've done one set and the pump cover's coming off. Oh. It's so funny, like when I first, honestly, I still feel this way a bit now, but like when I first got into lifting, it would take me a long time to like take a pump cover off, and a lot of the time I wouldn't because I felt like I hadn't earned it, or I was just like tiny, and I still feel small now, so not much has really changed. But I'll see people walking into the gym just in a tank top right out the gate, and I'm like, that's a bold move right there. You didn't even get a pump yet. So I started with a new online client last week, and we had a consultation before, and you know, they're a little bit older, so they don't necessarily get as much information as us younger guys. And that's the one thing we have now is like information overload. Like when I first started lifting, there wasn't tons of information. There was bodybuilding magazines, but like social media wasn't really a thing, which I'm grateful for when I started. But he was still under the illusion that like higher reps are more for like endurance and toning. So toning, what is toning? Toning is basically when you've built enough muscle and then you get rid of the body fat, you have that toned look, right? There isn't a way that you train to get toned. It's about building muscle, and then it's about losing body fat so you have that lean look. You have the lines in your triceps, your biceps, your shoulders, that cutoff line. And that look will actually make you look bigger, like when you're training or when you're shirtless. But if you're in a shirt, you're probably gonna look a little bit smaller. All of that to say, the whole goal of training is to grow, really, right? When we're strength training for physique-based look, it's all about growing. So we're trying to build muscle. So the rep ranges that are going to achieve that are typically going to be 6 to 30. I don't do anything really for 30 reps because there just takes so many reps to get to the effective reps that it's just doing a lot of work, kind of not for no reason, but you can do it in a lot shorter amount of reps. So typically the highest rep range I'll go to is like 15, maybe a little bit more, because again, I want to get into those effective reps fairly quickly. And I also enjoy just lifting a little bit heavier. But if you are someone that just enjoys lifting a little bit lighter, then you can do higher rep things. But what's important is that you get into those effective reps. It's got to be within like 3 reps of failure for it to really create an adaptation for you to grow from. Up. So this is a machine I always like to do single arm versus double arm. Just if we look at the position, right? Like if I'm doing both arms, my shoulders are always going to end up in that more rounded position. It's very hard to drive that position down and get full range of motion without cutting it short at the top. Whereas when I go single arm, I can get back, I can squeeze into my lat and externally rotate that shoulder. Not only that, I can create counterforce by driving this hand into the pad as well. So I'm creating more stability. I can produce more force with this arm bracing in here. So I'm always going to pretty much opt for doing a single arm versus a double arm. The other thing is too as well is you're less likely to overload it. What you'll often see on machines like this is people massively overloading. They end up curling from this position here, shortening the range at the bottom. No, let's think about that length. Get that shoulder back and down, squeeze into the lat, and then look at the range of motion I can get there versus when I'm doing it with both arms. Up. Yep. Honestly, bicep is funny because like I have decent biceps. I wouldn't say amazing biceps, decent biceps, and it's probably just the genetic thing for me because I don't really enjoy training biceps. Often the muscle groups I enjoy training the most potentially grow the least, but obviously genetics are going to play a big role in what grows faster. You'll often find guys with like the biggest arms will often tell you that like they don't really have to think about training arms. They don't even have to train them that often. They're just a genetic strong point for them, so they grow quickly. But they potentially put more effort into the muscle groups that would appear to be lagging. And some of that could definitely be down to execution, right? When they first started training, they trained arms a lot more than they trained hamstrings or other muscle groups. So potentially they grew more. The other thing for me is I'm a little bit shorter, so the distance from here to here is a little bit shorter than a lot of other people. So it's going to appear like my biceps are a little bit bigger and maybe give me more of a peak than what someone with a longer arm might have. Kevin Durant, trying to build big arms would be extremely difficult for him. Like I think there's a video of him bench pressing and I don't know if he was trying or not, but I think he was struggling maybe with, I don't know what it was, 135, 225, but you would think an athlete could do that easily, right? But when your arm span is half the size of this gym, it's going to be a whole lot harder. So we talked just earlier about like when I first got into training, social media wasn't really a thing. And in one way that's bad, and in another way it's really good because in the beginning I didn't really have anyone to compare myself to. I wasn't following all these different people that were miles ahead of me, right? But on the flip side, there's also a lot more knowledge now than there was. So maybe a lot of the mistakes that I made, I wouldn't have made potentially. But with that being said, there's almost now too much information. So people don't know what's right and what's wrong. But the beauty of not having it was that I didn't have anyone to compare it to. And comparison is the thief of joy. And what we end up getting is people following these guys on social media and they don't know anything about their background, right? Someone might watch this YouTube video. I've been training for way over a decade now, right? But someone might be watching this video that's only been training for 6 months to a year and they're thinking, oh, I should look like that or I don't look like that. Well, guys, I'll tell most of you, if you train like I have for the next 10 to 12 years, I think you'll probably look way better than I do, honestly speaking, because I don't have great genetics or didn't start out with great genetics for bodybuilding, but I've just put in lots of work over time. But it's important that when you're following people, keep that in mind. Don't compare to them. Use their information. Be inspired by them 100%. But don't try and rush to be somewhere that you haven't earned the right to be yet. Everybody has a day one. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with your form not looking great just yet. It's important that you just keep showing up, keep doing the reps, keep taking action, because over time, that's what's going to make the difference. And 6 years from now, you'll look back and be like, man, I'm so glad I didn't let comparing myself to that person stop me. And I kept going and I kept pushing. Just keep going. So funnily enough, this popped up on this day, April 15th, 2019. So that was me. I was 191 pounds and that's me at 180 pounds. So this time around in my off season, I was up, keep in mind 6 years on, I was probably at I started prep at 197 and I think I was leaner than that. Well, it's definitely leaner than that. And then I'm 183 now and I'm definitely leaner than that. So, you know, that's to be expected, but it's very good being able to see those things every time you prep. And you're like, okay, the work I've been doing is paying off. Especially in natural bodybuilding, because it just takes forever. It's like in your off seasons, you can't really tell. You're like, yeah, because that's the other thing I think about. Your first few years of training, you're going to grow faster than you'll ever grow again, because it's a completely new stimulus and your strength is going to be progressing so quickly. But once you get to that point where you've been training over 10 years, you're doing everything right to squeeze out like that little bit of extra progress. And for some people, it's just not worth it, which is understandable, right? You've really got to be bought into the sport after 10 years to be doing every little minor thing you can possibly do to make that much. So in the beginning, people are training any which way and they're progressing really quickly, which can lead them to think that that's the best way to train. Later down the line, they'll start to realize that, oh, actually, I've got to tighten up. I've got to be smarter with how I train in order to still make any progress, let alone lots of progress. When I'm in prep, I try and like, whether it works or not, I don't know, but I guess it's almost like reverse psychology. So every time someone asks, like, how is it? Answer, for a long time at least, is it's easy. You'll hear me say it on my YouTube videos, it's easy. And I'm definitely not trying to be obnoxious or like arrogant in any way there. What I'm trying to do is tell myself that it's easy, right? Because last thing we want to do is continuously tell ourselves in our head how hard it is, because then it's going to get even harder. Physically, the side effects are going to start showing even more. So the more you can tell yourself in your head, this ain't that hard, this ain't that bad, I can handle this, I'm better than this. But when you say that to people, it can potentially come across maybe as a little bit obnoxious. And it's not trying to be that way. It's just trying to remind myself that this is a blessing to be able to do this, right? I live in a country where I'm allowed and able to restrict myself of food. I'm not being restricted because there isn't any and there's none to get. I'm choosing to go through this and to restrict myself because of something that I want to do. So every time we feel sorry for ourselves, we feel like we are absolutely not a victim in this situation at all, because we can ring the bell anytime. You know, the Navy SEALs, they have that bell in the middle of the compound. You want to quit? You don't want it bad enough. The bell is right there. You can go and quit. You can go and get a nice warm blanket, get a nice hot cup of coffee or whatever, and you can go home and get in your shower and get in your bed. The temptation is there, right? That's almost what makes it difficult for them too, is they can quit whenever they want, whenever it gets hard. Same for us. There's a bell there that we can ring anytime we want. And you know what that bell looks like? It looks like Five Guys. It looks like McDonald's. It looks like Chick-fil-A. It looks like pizza. Ringing that bell, cheating on your diet, and basically giving in on your prep. That's what ringing the bell looks like in bodybuilding terms. So for me, it's always a test of mental fortitude. That's why I like to do it every now and again, as much as because I want to see the improvements I've made. I want to test myself. I want to challenge myself. I want to see, given the new circumstances, you know, having kids, having a busier business and all that, can I still handle it? Can I still put myself through those things? And then when we put ourselves through those things, everything else in life becomes easier, right? Because we're choosing to do hard things. You got to do it. See, what am I doing? Not the machine I want to use. Prep brain. Anyone that's prepped before will know this, that a side effect of prep, the deeper you get, is just how forgetful you become. And I mean, I kind of feel like I'm getting there already with some things, or I'm like, am I just not paying attention? But I've done crazy things like put my car keys in the fridge and then I'm looking for them for 30 minutes. Can't find them anywhere. Go in the fridge to get something to eat and my car keys are in the fridge. You'll misplace everything. I'll make sticky notes to leave myself reminders all the time of very, very basic things, because you can't remember. There's so many side effects that happen with prep. You get to the bottom of the stairs and you have to give yourself a pep talk just to walk up the stairs because your energy levels are so low. You blink slower. You don't smile as much, because all of these things take energy and your body is trying to reserve as much energy as it can for everything else you have to do throughout the day. You know, loss of libido, like all these different side effects that you're going to go through when you get that lean. Even last time, I remember like holding dumbbells, I wouldn't be able to feel my forearms. It was like I was having like electric shocks and just numbness through my forearms, and that's just like a normal feeling. You get on the hack squat and you don't even feel like your legs are really beneath you, and you're kind of just trying to push with whatever you have. These are all just side effects that come with getting that lean. Women are going to experience some different side effects as well. And when these things happen to you, you're going to think, what is going on? Like, is this normal? And you've got to remember how extreme this is. The extreme level of conditioning that we're trying to get to in bodybuilding, there are going to be some side effects because your body is telling you, eat, put some more body fat on. We want to get healthy. Your body doesn't care that you want to be stage conditioned. Your body wants to be healthy and your body wants to survive. So anytime you're in that position, your body is going to give you signals that you need to go and eat. Unfortunately, you can't because of the nature of the prep. Up. I can start. Yep. So before I got into lifting, I was a very skinny, weak, unconfident teenager, and this environment was extremely intimidating for me, like it might be for a lot of you. But what you need to remember is that on the other side of those doors is a community and a culture of people that want to see you grow and get better. On the other side of those doors is the healthy, fit, strong, confident version of you, the person that you are capable of becoming. So you need to forget about that intimidation, forget about where you are right now, and think about the action that you can take to become the person that you want to be. And when you are ready to do that, we are here to support you every step of the way so that you can train with no limits.